Welcome to this tutorial on submitting limited alteration applications in DOB Now builds. Let's start by talking a little bit about roles and responsibilities related to LAA filings. The applicant of record who for LAA filings must be a licensee of either master plumber, oil burner installer, or fire suppression contractor has the ability to create and enter LAA filings in DOB Now builds. In those filings, enter the scope of work, upload any required documents, complete statements and signatures to electronically sign that the information is complete, submit the LAA filing. Those applicants of record can also file emergency work notifications, post-approval amendments, and in the case of a request for corrections by the LAA unit at the Department of Buildings, they can respond to any objections within a post-approval amendment. Owner reps, filing reps, or preparers who are registered in e-filing also have the ability to create and enter LAA filings, enter the scope of work in those filings, upload requirement documents, and also make a payment for any fees related to those LAA filings. But they don't have the ability to actually submit the filings, so they can't electronically sign, they can't file any EWNs, post-approval amendments, respond to objections on behalf of the applicant. There's also a field or section for the owner's email to be entered so that the owner gets notifications anytime the job status changes. So when their email is entered and the job filing is saved, they'll get notified that they've been tagged for updates. And then anytime the filing status changes, for example, to permitted, or if there are corrections requested by an auditor, the applicant is going to know of those job status changes. There's a few different statuses to discuss while the LAA is being entered into DOB Now builds up to the point where it's submitted. So when a job filing is initially saved in DOB Now build, it's in a pre-filing status. It's essentially a draft status for the applicant of record or the filing rep that's working on that job filing. At that point, the filing can still be deleted from DOB Now build if necessary, anytime up to the point where fees are paid, after which point no deletion is allowed. If for some reason the LAA wasn't being continued at that point, if a fee was paid, a refund could be applied for outside of DOB Now using existing processes which can be located on the DOB Now website. If a building for an LAA filing has any open work without permit violations, the applicant is going to know at the point that they click preview to file within that LAA filing that there's open violations. They won't be able to complete the filing process at that point until they resolve those violations and the status has updated in DOB Now build. So usually 24 hours after you know that the violations have been resolved, you can go back into DOB Now build and complete the filing process. As long as there's no open work without permit violations, when an applicant of record goes to submit the LAA filing, it's going to be automatically permitted. So at that point, they'll be able to print out the permit, post it at the job site, continue to do all the work related, and then get their inspection scheduled. Once the inspection has been completed and signed off, and that information is updated in DOB Now inspections, and then passed back to DOB Now build, which will happen within a day, then the status will update to signed off in DOB Now build as well. once the once the LAA filing is permitted, if there's a need to create a post-approval amendment, it can be done. Only one PAA can be in progress at a time, though, but it can be done from the time that the filing is permitted up to the time where it's signed off. Once it's signed off, no post-approval amendment would apply or could be created. The steps for filing a LAA in DOB Now Build are to log in to DOB Now Build, select the plus job filing button, and then select limited alteration application. If there was a EWN prior to the LAA, there's a way to link that EWN by the DOB Now Build EWN number. The job location, proposed work summary, applicant's email all need to be entered into the LAA filing. If there's a filing rep or the owner, those can be entered as well. There's also additional information for fee assessment, asbestos abatement compliance, and then the next step would be to select the scope of work for that LAA filing. After the scope of work has been entered, any required documents need to be uploaded. The system is automatically going to let you know which documents are required. So if you don't see a document listed in the required documents section, there's no need to send that into the Department of Buildings LAA unit. The system will tell you exactly what's needed on the DOB Now Build side to file that LAA. After the documents have been uploaded, the applicant of record only is able to read and then complete the statements of signatures by electronically signing. At that point, it's safe to pay the fees, and then the applicant of record can click the Preview to File button to do a final review of the information before clicking File, which submits that LAA filing to the Department of Buildings and updates the status from pre-filing to permitted. So let's take a look at the steps involved in creating and submitting an LAA filing. I'm going to start by logging in, so entering in my registered e-filing email and password. I'll click Login, and then I'm going to select DOB Now Build. Once I'm on the dashboard, I'm going to click Plus Job Filing and select Limited Alteration Application. Then I'll click Submit, and that's going to create a new blank LAA filing. The first field lets me specify if I have an emergency work notification related to this LAA filing. If yes, clicking yes will let me enter in the emergency work notification number. So as long as the number was generated in DOB Now Build, I can enter it in here and click Search. And if I do that, it's going to populate the job location, the proposed work summary, and the applicant information, as well as the insurance information. If I didn't have a related EWN number, just leave this selected as no and go ahead and enter in that information. So I'll do now, just entering in the street information, the borough, the block, and the lot. You'll enter in as much information for the Department of Buildings LAA unit as you can within this 500-character limit, just keeping in mind that this proposed work summary is going to be displayed on the permit. So make sure it's information that you want displayed on that work permit. The applicant information needs to be entered, and this needs to be their registered e-filing email address. After typing it in, I'll see this blue bar. When I select this blue bar, it'll populate the last name and first name. It's pulling that information in from e-filing. And it's also going to allow me to select the license type. When I select Master Plumber, it populates the license number. I also can select the business name. If I select the business name, it's going to populate the insurance information. I can see here if the insurance is expired. So if the information was expired, I would want to go and get that information updated before I continue with the LAA filing. If I tried to save this, it will tell me that the application can't be saved because this insurance information is expired. So make sure that those dates are not passed, and then I can save this. When I click the address confirmation to confirm the address, it's going to lock that job location section down, so it'll be read-only. So after I see that notification, these fields are now not editable. They're gray, which means they're locked. Continuing on, the owner's email, I can do that. If a filing rep was entering in the data, I would want to do so now as well. If it's legalization work, select the Yes Radio button. If you're resolving an open violation, select Yes, and then you can enter up to 5 ECB violation numbers, separated by a semicolon. If you're not doing legalization work, just leave this as at no and enter in the fee assessment information. So select the building type, building use, total number of floors, total construction area, Category 1 or Category 2, which type of work is it, and then the estimated cost. The information in this section, the building type, category type, and cost, will update the payment summary information once I click Save here. So I can see that the amount due has now been updated. It's recommended that you don't pay until the very end when the applicant of record is ready to click Preview to File, even though that Pay Now button is activated. Just scrolling back down to where we were, these fields can still be paid, but once Pay Now is clicked and the payment has been completed, the building type and the category type will be read-only. So you want to wait until the very end so that you don't run into any issues with the correct fees. After that, if it's fee exempt, you can select the appropriate checkbox, complete the asbestos abatement compliance section, save the application. And now I'm ready to continue and enter the scope of work. On the Scope of Work tab, if I click Add Scope of Work, I'm going to see the type of work associated with the license type. So my license type was Master Plumber, so the limited alteration scope is confined to plumbing work. I can select water plumbing work and gas plumbing work. And if I select water plumbing work, for example, new installation, I'll see item categories. If I select water piping, I can select whichever applies. For certain fields, you'll see additional information might be required. Checking one of these boxes enables the quantity field so that you can enter in the quantity for each item that you're adding. I just entered one item there. You could enter more if necessary. Also, after you've added scope of work, if you need to edit it, if you scroll to the right in this section, there's an edit icon which brings the scope of work back up. So if there were more than one item that applied, you can add those. If you ever need to delete scope of work, you can click the delete button up until the point that you've filed the LAA. If you're including gas plumbing work and there's gas usage, so for example, if I was doing an oil burner pilot, it's going to prompt me to enter in the gas usage as well. So this gas usage section was added here. I need to select all that might apply and then enter in the meter and riser information. Once I enter those in, you can enter all your scope of work in. When you're done entering the scope of work, you'll continue on to the Documents tab. This will list any required documents. So right now I can see that the DPL1 professional seal and signature is required. That's a form where the licensee can enter their information, select the license type, and then stamp their seal, shade that seal, scan this document, and save it to their computer so that every filing they submit for the next 12 months, they can upload that DPL1 document. I'm going to go show you how to do that right now. I'll browse to where my DPL1 is saved, click Upload, click OK, and it shows me that that document is now pending up until the point where we submit the LAA filing. Any other documents, and you may have additional documents based on the scope of work, but if it's not listed here, it's not required by the Department of Buildings. So you don't need to submit any other documents for the on the DOB Now build side for filing. There may be other documents required at the point that you schedule your inspection, but that's handled through DOB Now inspections, not DOB Now builds. So after the documents have been uploaded and saved, at this point, the applicant of record can review all the information, and then if everything looks good, they're going to read the statements and signatures and then electronically sign the form. So after I've done that, checked all the information on general information, scope of work, documents, and statements and signatures, I'll click Save. And now it would be safe to go ahead and pay the fees. So I can see the amount due here. I'll click Pay Now. That asks me to confirm that I want to pay. I'll click Confirm. And this is going to bring me to the CityPay site. I can pay by e-check or credit card. So once I enter in the billing information, I'll then get prompted to enter in this case, the credit card information. I'll confirm that I want to pay. It'll show me that I processed the payment, and then I'll get this receipt, which I can also print if necessary. When I return to DOB Now Build, I'll get a notification that the payment has been submitted. When I click OK, we'll see here that the amount due is now 0. The payment history will show the payment that was just submitted. And at this point, I can now complete the final steps to update this job filing from pre-filing to permitted, which are to click Preview to File, which brings up an application preview window. Only the applicant of record can do this. So a filing rep can't perform these steps to preview to file, but the applicant will click through, review the information on each page, click the next button to see each subsequent page, and once they reach the last page, they're going to scroll down to where they can once again electronically sign, and that will enable the File button so that they can submit this LAA filing to the Department of Buildings. Once this updates, a confirmation is displayed that the job filing has been submitted to the Department of Buildings. The LAA permit has been issued. There's instructions here on how to print the permit. If I click OK, you can see the status is permitted. So I can go ahead and print this work permit. Over here on the left, there's a Work Permits tab. There's a Print Permit button. If I click Print Permit, it asks me to click yes, and then I can see the work permit. It includes a description. That was the proposed work summary that I entered earlier. If I click print to PDF, it will display the PDF over here in the corner, and then I can print that, grab that piece of paper and post it at the job site so that I can work until that job is ready to go. Now at this point, my job filing is permitted, but all LAA filings are under review by the audit unit, the LAA unit at the Department of Buildings. So if corrections are requested, I'll be notified of that via email, and I'll need to take action. We have additional instructions on what you'll need to do in the event that your LAA is audited and corrections are requested. You can find those instructions if you go to the DOB Now Build site and locate limited alteration applications. Resources right here, and go into the LAA step-by-step filing examples, where you can find instructions on how to respond to an auditor's request for corrections, respond to objections from an audit, or an auditor's intent to revoke just with a rescind justification. We also have another tutorial video that demonstrates how to handle each of these three items, as well as a video on how to submit an emergency work notification. Okay, thank you.